we want to connect to our weather service, and this is a SOAP service. So we're going to go through and choose SOAP, and we're going to provide a WSDL. And in this box, you'll see XML, SOAP, JSON, Java, which is custom connector. You can deploy custom code, and I'll show that briefly a little later on. Database, and then business adapters is where you can connect to line of business systems like Salesforce, SAP, and even our OEM with MuleSoft, and just pull in their metadata and discover objects, which I'll show later with Salesforce. But in this case, we're going to do SOAP, and we're going to give the base URL for the service, and then we're going to specify our WSDL below. Now with the WSDL, you can either provide a URL or upload the file. And what it does is it downloads the file and it actually inspects what's available. So you can see on the operation list page, it says these are all the operations in the WSDL. So if you're connecting to something like an ESB, you can just start loading all your WSDLs in here, and your integration developer can just choose the operations he wants. So in this case, we're going to do get city forecast and get city weather. This is a good example of where the back end doesn't give me exactly what I want, because I want the current weather and the forecast at once. So first I have to connect to each one of these, and you'll notice on the right it tells me what the service wants. It gives me the XML payload, and I just need to parameterize the zip code that I'm going to send in. So I can really easily pull from the WSDL my what we call a request template, and then easily see what I need to send. So I'm going to send in 30303 for a test, and we also give you this tree view to easily see the XML. And if you click on a node, it'll even give you the XPath if you're having trouble figuring out what the XPath is. So very similar experience now. I mean, we're still dealing with XML. We're still going to have to parse out what we want. If you just want to proxy the data back and forth, you can do that. But typically we find that people do want to parse out the payload and just send back exactly what the client's going to want. And that's converting it to JSON. So anything we're sending back based on this parsing is going to be a JSON object, and I'll show you how you can test and see the exact JSON here in just a little bit. So we're indexing all the way down to forecast result, which is, you can't really see the whole XML, but forecast result's pretty deep in the payload, so the 2 slashes just allows the middleware just to search for it. And we're creating another collection, and then we're going to add the date and the description and some other data that we need from this to get the forecast back. And the forecast is in another collection, with a forecast for each day of the week, so the next 7 days of data. So this is another example of where we have to go through and create this repeating collection, and then we'll get this nice JSON array back so we can put the data on the presentation layer of the client. So as you can see, the developer just has to flip back and forth between the raw output from below and copy the XPath above. If you use the tree view, you can actually just copy the XML, or you can go down and just double-click the nodes in the XML that you need in this raw view. So once this completes, the next thing we'll do is click the test button. And what this does is it calls the service again. It runs this XPath that we've configured, and then shows us in the output result what's going to go back to the client. So now we're looking at the output, and we can see that the response is much smaller now. We're just getting exactly what we want: the date, the description of the weather, the low, the high, and the precipitation percentage. All right, so now we have our weather service. One more service, and we'll be done building these things. The next one is geocoding to connect to here. So the first one was forecast, and this is just the current the current weather. And as you can see in the output result, it's just city, state, and temperature. So that's all we need for our UI. And if you look at this XML, it's so much smaller than what the service was responding. So this is the example of the mobile optimization that we really just want to kind of drive home for you guys.